Hi friends, today we're going to be doing our review for our STEM class. And in STEM class, you learned about acronyms for STEM. You know that STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Science is the study of the natural world around us. So figuring out about the weather and about space and about earth science and physical science and life science, answering the questions about the natural world around us. Technology is about meeting a need. It's designed by human beings, and anything designed by us to, to meet a need or a want is technology. So computer can be a technology, but so can an umbrella because it was designed by a person to meet a need or a want to solve a problem. A marker can be technology. A rocket ship can be technology because that was designed by a human being to solve a problem. Engineering is a combination of the science, technology, and math. Um, and engineering is important because it solves a problem that we have. And then math is obviously, the study of the numbers and how we use our numbers for the world that we live in. So technology, like I said, is anything designed by human beings to help solve a problem or meet a need. So it's things like an airplane, a microwave, iPhone, things like that, um, meet a need and solve a problem. But so does a pencil. If I need to write something, I also need a pencil. So actually something as simple as a pencil or a shoelace or shoes is technology. So technology, what problem does this solve? Well, an airplane. My problem is I need to go visit my mother in Mexico. And obviously, I can't, I only have a week to do that, so I cannot walk and I cannot drive. So a plane's going to solve my problem to get there quickly. A microwave, cold pizza. I'm hungry and I want hot pizza, but I only have um, 20 minutes to eat my lunch, so I need to make sure that I have a microwave. An iPhone or a phone, smartphone. That's something that we need to friends, to figure out how to get to school, things like that. A refrigerator is also technology. We need to make sure our food stays cold so that way that when we want it, we can get it and it's fresh and it's safe and healthy for us to eat. A rocket ship is also technology, and so is a blender. We want our guavos or we want our smoothies in the morning, right? So we need a blender. Engineers solve problems. That's basic. That's probably a very basic fundamental statement. Engineers solve problems, and a solution is an answer to a problem. So if I need to get to school, how am I going to get there? My problem is I need to get to school. Well, I can either ride my bike, that's one solution. I can walk, that's another solution. I can take the bus, another solution, or I can have my mom drive me, that's another solution. Okay, so a solution is an answer to a problem. And the word for persevere means to keep trying. We keep trying, even though engineers sometimes with their solutions they might fail and it might not work. They'll keep trying to find that solution. And at Cameras, we are engineers. You, me, the staff, the students, we are engineers. And the reason we are engineers is because we solve our problems. We try to figure out what our problems are and we try to solve them. Engineers persevere, that we don't stop trying. We don't give up. We are engineers and we keep trying. So engineering more like I got a bad grade in math. I'm not going to stop trying. I'm going to figure out what my problem was, and I'm going to persevere, and maybe I'll ask my teacher for help. Maybe I will ask my mom or dad to quiz me for the test, for the math test. Maybe I will go to bed earlier so that way I'm wide awake when I pay attention when I'm in math class. Maybe I'll ask more questions. Maybe I'll take notes. We try to figure out what our problem is, and we um, try to solve that. And we don't give up. So here is the engineering design process. And an engineering design process is a process that engineers use to solve problems. And it is, if you notice, it's in a circle, that meaning that it's cyclical, that it doesn't stop. Our first the first step, and usually in the engineering design process, is ask. So we ask what our problem is. We try to figure out what our problem is. We ask who has the problem and how we can solve the problem. And then we imagine we start brainstorming all the different ideas and solutions that we can use to solve the problem. So, like I said, maybe I'll walk to school, maybe I'll ride a bike, things like that. So we imagine all the different possibilities. Plan. Once we pick a solution, the best solution to our problem, then we start planning. How are we going to do that? Okay. So, like for example, if I'm having a hard time with math, let's make a plan. Well, let me see. I'm going to start setting my alarm clock. First step is I'm going to start setting my alarm clock so I can go to bed on time. Then I'm also going to plan and set my alarm clock so I get up on time. Then I'm also going to plan to make sure that when my teacher's talking, I'm going to take notes. Okay, so we write a plan. And then once we do that, we follow that plan and we build it. Not for homework, but maybe for a different solution for a problem. Maybe we have to build a better backpack. And we have a plan for that backpack. So then we're going to build it, we're going to create it. And then finally, we try it out, we test it, and we realize that maybe we need to make the strap stronger for our backpack. Or maybe we need to do something better for our for the solution. So we have to improve it. We may have to make it better, and then we start all over again. Okay, so here's an example, friends. So what is this child's problem? And what is the step in the engineering design process? Well, this is the ask step. What is the problem? Well, he's obviously wet, right? It's raining and he doesn't look too happy. So then what do we do? Go to the next step, which is the imagine. We brainstorm many possible solutions. Maybe we need to create and build a raincoat. Maybe we need to build an umbrella. Maybe we need a different type of invention so that way they don't get wet. So we come up with different solutions. Once we brainstorm, make a list, we figure out which one's the best one, and we pick the best solution and we write our plan. So maybe I'll create a homemade raincoat and hat. So my plan, number one, I'm going to get one large paper bag. Then number two, I'm going to cut a hole for the arms and the head. Number three, I'm going to start and build his hat. So I'm going to get one smaller paper bag. And then step four, I'm going to make a hat for the top of the head from the small paper bag. So that's my plan. Then I'm going to create it, and then I'm going to go to the create step. So we're going to build that. We're going to build it. And then once we do that, we're going to try it out. Oh no, that didn't work. We got wet. We need to make it better. So what do we have to do? We need to improve it. We need to make it better. So we start all over again. Ask, well, what happened? Well, the paper bag got wet, and it's maybe paper's not the best way to go. Maybe we need to build our raincoat out of something that's not going to fall apart in the rain. So we start all over again, and that's why it's a circle. It's a cyclical thing. And remember, friends, engineers are people who design something to solve a problem. So engineers are people who design something to solve a problem. So we can design something like cell phones, microwaves, apps. And then our engineering design process, called the EDP, is a series of steps that engineers use as they solve a problem. So here's the engineering design process again. And again, it's the same thing as the other one, just maybe a little different wording, but basically it's the same thing. So number one, ask what are the problems, what are the constraints. Number two, imagine. We brainstorm ideas and choose the best idea. Number three, we plan. We draw a diagram neatly, label, and we gather all the materials that we need. And then number four, we're going to build it. We're going to create it. We're going to follow the plan and then test it out. And remember, it's important that we follow the plan, not just create our new idea. We have to follow the plan that we wrote. And number five, we improve it. We test it out and we realize that maybe we discuss what can work better, and then we start all over again. We can repeat the steps 1 through 5 to make changes. Then, friends, we also learned about the engineering habits of mind. Engineering habits of mind. The habits of mind, HOM, are traits or ways of thinking about how a person looks at the world or reacts to a challenge. So these engineering habits of mind are going to help us to come up with solutions to problems or improvements to current technologies or ways of doing things. These are the habits of mind, and these are important. These are habits of mind that engineers use. So if you build your brain is like a muscle, and you work on making those habits strong, it's going to be to your advantage. So one engineering habit of mine is systems thinking. That means that you're going to break apart the big idea that you're studying and thinking about how the parts connect or relate to each other within that big idea. So an example of this would be like the puzzle. You'll have a big puzzle, and you look at the cover of the puzzle box and you know that it's a puzzle of maybe a bunch of kittens. And you have this small puzzle piece and you look at it. How does this small puzzle piece connect to this big puzzle? So that's systems thinking, taking the small little piece and looking at the big main idea. The next one is creativity. It's very important to have creativity. So we need to use your imagination to make or see things in new or original ways. Never thought about it that way. Maybe I could do this instead of that. We have to think creatively and think outside the box. Another engineering habit of mine is optimism. So, meaning that we believe as engineers that believing that the possibility and opportunity can be found in every challenge and every technology can be improved. Meaning that, okay, I know that this might not work right now, but I am gonna make it work, and I know I can make it work, and I know I can make it better. So, okay, and then they also think optimism is often referred to as seeing a glass half full instead of half empty. The other engineering habit of mine is collaboration. Collaboration, if you look at them, every person there has a puzzle piece and they're all working together to solve a problem. They all need to work together to finish that puzzle. Working together to use everyone's strengths and knowledge to solve a problem or a challenge. Okay, another word for collaboration, it's sometimes called teamwork. Next habit of mine is is communication, and that's where we share and explain and talk about ideas. Engineers don't build things by themselves. Engineers are usually comprised of many people on a team, and you need to talk to each other to get your ideas across and to discuss and to share and to explain. It's very important. And then the last engineering habit of mind is ethical considerations. So we need to think, that's thinking about how engineering will affect people and the environment. So it's very important. So is it, for example, if an ethical consideration would be, for example, if if I build a big engineering rig to um, drill for oil, but the place that I want to drill, because of my big engineering drill, is in the middle of a, let's say, a place where um, endangered species are, like let's say the the bald eagle is there. Should we be drilling there? Is that something that we should do? So we need to, or maybe drilling there will more likely mess up our environment. Is that worth it? So we need to start thinking about that, boys and girls. And then we also learned about engineering drawings. We learned that engineering drawings are used to communicate, and that's how we share and exchange information, news, or ideas. We also practiced on sketching. We learned that a sketch is a rough drawing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just in a way to get your idea across. Then after you sketch, maybe you need to draw it better so that way it's neater. So a sketch is just a rough drawing just to quickly get your idea across. But when you start planning, that's when you start being more detailed. And then this is important. We talked about isometric drawing. And we learned that isometric is a way of presenting designs or drawings in 3 dimensions. So you can actually see, if you notice, that for all these models that you see, you can see the top, the front, and the side view of these objects at the same time. And we also talked about spatial awareness skills in STEM. And why is that important? That means that building our spatial skills can help increase your success in STEM careers when you get older. And then also using your spatial skills will help you in math, because math uses spatial skills when you're looking at shapes or patterns or sequences. Here's an example of a spatial puzzle that you did that we kind of incorporated throughout the course. So looking at it, which is the top view? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? So if you were to look at this shape, and if we were to look at it from the top, which one is the top view? Okay, and we also talked about crazy inventions. That great inventions sometimes start with some such crazy ideas, or ideas that people thought would never exist. So, for example, Tracy's radio phone watch. They thought it seemed crazy at the time, but now we have a smartwatch. The Jetsons, Rosie the cleaning robot. Well, we have Roomba now. And then, of course, in the Back to the Future, he had that hoverboard. We have this hoverboard. It still doesn't float completely, but um, that's the concept. And then also landing, going to the moon. That thought, flying out of the earth, seemed crazy at the time, but now not only have we reached the moon, we're looking into going into Mars. So here are some examples of crazy inventions that we looked at. And then also we looked at the engineering design process graphic organizer, which will help us to plan our solution and to create something that will solve our problem. And we did 3D printing. So what's the difference between 2D and 3D? What is 2D? 2D means two-dimensional, and 2D shapes are flat and are on the paper. So that's something like when you draw something, everything on the paper, that's 2D. And so 3D is actually means three-dimensional, and it has 3D shapes have the width, the length, and the height. So X, Y, Z axis. And these 3D shapes, actually, you can actually pick it up and you can rotate it, and it's a physical, tangible thing. So 3D shapes can be seen from the top, the side, and the front. And then also 3D printing is actually when you make a 3D object from a CAD model or a digital 3D model program. And we tried our hand with 3D modeling with Tinkercad. That should actually say 3D modeling with Tinkercad. We learned that Tinkercad is a CAD program, and CAD stands for, it's an acronym, CAD, which stands for Computer Aided Software. And you guys created an account into Tinkercad, and you did some tutorials, and you used them to draw a model of a 3D object. When you do that, you can save it as a .stl file, and this .stl file can then be sent to a 3D printer, where the 3D printer uses the directions in that file, and it builds that model layer by layer from a plastic filament, like a plastic thread, and it's melted, and then it just kind of like putting icing on a cake, frosting, icing on a cake. And you guys also worked with Canva. Canva is a graphic design software program that's used to design visual projects such as cards, logos, posters, videos, presentations, and more to communicate our ideas. And you guys, one of our assignments was to do holiday cards or a thank you card, things like that. So you were able to work on that. And then last but not least, also worked on coding. I don't see it. Here we go. Coding or computer programming. So coding, you used code.org, and you practiced on some of the tutorials. And coding is just writing instructions to a computer so the computer can read them and understand them and run them. So you were able to create something with when you code it. And coding is important because it can boost your problem solving and logic skills. That, boys and girls, end of pretty much what we did all for those 5 weeks. All right.